Hi everybody, it's Erica Larson from ericalarson.com, ErikaLarson. I am going to talk today about effective communication with a planner personality style. They're all different. All four personality styles have a different way of communicating, a different way of taking in information, and so I'm trying to share this because most of our problems in life are over communication issues. So the planner, how they communicate, their primary role is to be responsible. That's what they're here to do. They're the work bees, they get things done. They like to discuss structure and responsibilities, rules of life, such as should and should nots. They are clear, direct, and to the point in their communication. Generally, they're approachable and friendly, but always cautious and often rushed. They have firm views and only share personal information when they know someone well. So if you're a supporter, you may want to build rapport by talking about your family and your kids and stuff like that. These people are all about getting things done, and duty comes first. They're not there to make friends, they're there to get things done. That doesn't mean they're unfriendly or anything like that, but they have their priorities in check. So here's a few words that describe a planner's communication style. They like to have things in writing. They're perfectionists and they demand accuracy. They like things recorded, details that they can refer to in the future if they need to. They prefer things in writing so that they have precise documentation with facts and details. So keep that in mind. If you have a conversation about something, they'll say, yeah, could you send me an email about that? Yeah, so that they have the facts in writing. They're very purposeful. Because they plan every detail of their day and prefer to adhere to their timelines, especially at work, they get aggravated when people interrupt their schedule and frustrated because they feel that it's a time waster to chit-chat instead of being productive and doing something. To ensure they stay on course, they state the reason for their conversation up front and bring it to a close once they have discussed its purpose. It's not at all uncommon. I had a girlfriend like this. We would book time to talk, and it would be of a personal nature, what's going on in our lives, and she would always say, okay, I have 10 more minutes or whatever it is, so if you have something important to say that we haven't discussed, say it now. And you know, I don't get offended because I know that this is how they operate. And she would always bring it to a close. Okay, well, just one more thing and then I have to go. And that's their way of bringing it to a close. Very important for them. They're very appropriate. They're cautious and conservative. They stay on topic, like to be politically correct, and will use proper language, avoiding slang or incorrect wording. They're very respectful and rarely fool around and tell jokes, especially in a business setting where they deem this behavior to be inappropriate. They may be able to relax their serious side in social situations, but where things are more acceptable, but at work, they're all about getting the job done. They're task focused. Once they have established the purpose of a conversation, they likely will center their discussion on accomplishing the goal. But they absolutely like to stay on topic. They lack interest in what's said unless it is about the matter at hand. So keep that in mind. Unless it's about the matter at hand, they're not going to be that interested. They give their undivided attention to the interaction and expect the same in return. This is difficult for some of the other personality styles, especially the promoter. And they're very, they'll give you eye contact for short amounts of time and are uncomfortable with doing so for long periods of time. They may look in the general direction, but over your head. Their speech is fast-paced, decisive, and quick. They're also very loyal. Loyalty and respect to their family, the organization they work for or volunteer for, and their community. They uphold policies, rules, and customs at all costs. So not all the personalities like to follow policies and procedures and like rules. And these people are a challenge if you're a planner. They're very predictable, reliable, and speak and respond predictably. They're traditional. When they communicate, they often reference the way things have been done in the past and prefer to stick with what they know and what they can rely on. They're chronological. They relate information or events in chronological order all the time. They explain the entire linear process, which can be very taxing if you're a promoter. If they're interrupted when relaying information, they'll start from the beginning and describe the whole sequence to ensure that they include everything. And they also love to have detailed instructions because they don't want to disappoint anybody. So if they're relaying something like that to you, they want to make sure that you get every detail. When a conversation is begun, they like to establish the purpose of it up front. They listen for details, responsibility, purpose, and understanding. They're super detail oriented, very specific, and share details and logistics rather than generalities or interpretations. They like to stick to the facts, much like the thinkers. They always provide clear, defined instructions. Closure. They desire to finish one thought or topic at a time and hate it when they're interrupted. And they'll tell you that. Wait, I'm not finished. They may say something like that if you try to interrupt them. They will let you know when they are bringing the conversation to a close. Every time, like I mentioned earlier with my girlfriend on the phone, uncomfortable with too many options left open and may insist that a choice is made. They like the tried and true, like things that have a proven track record, and they're very slow to embrace change. They don't like change. If something works, why change it? I had an employee, get this, she would bring the same lunch for several years, the same lunch. She had white bread, the crust was cut off, she had cheese on it, and she had an apple and, I don't know, a cookie or something like that. It was the same for year after year after year. And one day I said to her, don't you get tired of the same lunch? And she said, no, it works for me. So they're slow to embrace change. Judgments. They judge what other individuals say by whether the person is saying or doing what is right or wrong. They're all about right or wrong. And they think they know all the rights and wrongs, and I hate to tell them, but they don't. They give their views in an authoritative way. Like, I know the answer, and so I'm going to tell you what's right and wrong, using words like should and should not, followed by their reasoning. And of course, we all know that that only works for them, but it doesn't work for everybody else. Their communication leaves no room for a varied interpretation. They ensure their listener know what they're talking about and what action is expected as a result of their conversation. They're also very accountable. Imagine if you had work bees that weren't accountable. What a mess. But these people are super accountable. They like to know what is expected of them so that they can conform and follow the rules without disappointing anyone, and they'll ask questions until they reach that clarity. So just get used to that with them. How they listen. They listen for details and responsibility. They gather information so they can understand their role in it, and they listen for the speaker's intentions. Now, they like to talk about a whole bunch of different things as well. What has worked in the past? Responsibility and structure. How things should and should not be in life. What the bottom line is, or the next step. Family history and traditions. Remember, they value tradition and family and are the ones that keep traditions alive. They like to talk about positions to help with or projects that need to be worked on. Cost and time sharing tips and strategies. These are masters at it. You can go to them if you need something on sale or where's the best place to buy it, and they'll usually know. And they like to talk about streamlining or organizational techniques. They are super organized and always think there's room for improvement. So if you are a planner, here are some communication tips for you that you need to adopt. Be patient with people who don't operate in the disciplined, agenda-driven fashion that you do. And be open-minded. Accept that there are different ways to achieve and desire outcomes in a conversation and in life, period. Practice pausing in conversation to see the big picture. These are not the big picture people, but they're the ones that make the big picture happen. Instead of honing in on the details all the time, just listen for the, just let the conversation unfold. Don't stifle creativity in those who like to brainstorm and think out loud. So like I mentioned, the promoters, they think out loud and they have a lot of ideas and they love brainstorming, and don't stifle it by saying like, well, I don't know about that idea. It hasn't been done before. Just let it flow and see what comes out of it. Practice letting people be self-expressed, basically. Accept that others have different skills and values than you without wanting to change them, and be aware of how blunt and controlling you so often sound, especially when you're busy. And practice sharing personal information to connect with those that relate on that level. And of course, spend time with other planners who understand you, who won't take offense at your need to plan everything, including time for fun. So that is all I have to say about communicating with the planner personality style. If you have a planner in your life, they can often be difficult to communicate with. And so just let me know what your challenges are, and I would love to help you, because life is all about relationships for all of us. When you're on your deathbed, the only thing that's going to matter is the relationships that you nurtured and that you had. So the best way to do that is to understand the 4 personality styles, how they communicate, what's important to them, what they need, how they listen, all of that. So I hope you'll listen to all 4 of these videos on the different personality styles. And you can go to my website. It's got lots of downloadable information. It's got a free personality test that you can take if you don't know what style you are. All kinds of resources on there. And it also talks about my seminars and books as well. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you'll listen to the last one, which is about how to communicate with a thinker personality style. Thanks for tuning in.